And then we go back from a little clip of Esports Weekly. You guys can catch that at 10 a.m. every Monday morning. We do a recap of the week previous and go through all the good and bad throughout the year. Totally joining me in the desk, though, to break down today's North American game, which is very important for these two teams, Spacestation against Splyce.
United already qualified, so it's up to who can claim that #2 spot. Spacestation, they are in if they win this one. Splyce are in if they win this one, and then their other set later this week.
So this game, definitely important. Splyce wants it. Spacestation wants it. Whoever wins this has a chance to go to LAN. Spacestation wins, 100% guaranteed. They'll hit 7. Nobody else can catch them. However, if they lose this game against Splyce today, it's going to cause them a lot of problems, and they're going to have to bite their nails and hope for the best that certain teams around the scene help them out.
And Splyce is not a team that you want to go in to be your last team to face.
No.
It's very difficult with how much aggression that they throw at anyone at level 1. It's difficult to really pan what they're going to do. They like to speed buff invade. They can easily still also assist in the dual lane, where CycloneSpin is going to be a big threat. How can Spacestation Gaming survive the early game to catch the wins?
We'll get on to Splyce in a minute, but Spacestation Gaming themselves, I mean, these guys, a bit of an up and down season for them, totally. It's not as clean as the spring split would say, you know. Ever since the LAN, it seems to have, like, they've kind of petered off a little bit, kind of struggled here and there, not as clean as they once were.
They're saving their energy.
Okay.
They know what it takes to, you know, make the LAN and then have the successful results. Not so successful against European teams during the Spring Masters, but you know, they know when it matters the most, and that's what makes them very successful.
But we're following BaRRaCCuDDa here today, and the one thing to talk about BaRRaCCuDDa, he's the one that seems to have stepped up a little bit more so on this team. He mentioned himself, he didn't have the greatest of spring splits, but coming into the summer, Hunters with a bit more love towards them too has allowed him to start to look a little bit more like the days gone by of BaRRaCCuDDa, where he's, you know, be able to perform at the highest level.
Getting a little bit better. I think all of Hunters were struggling, or at least, you know, Hunter players were struggling at the start of Season 5, trying to figure out, like, what's working, what's not working, and now they're finding their groove again. It's like, you know, Stella got her groove back, BaRRaCCuDDa kind of getting his groove back, and with the Chernobog available, I think this is going to allow him to play a little more aggressive.
We'll see if we can get the Chernobog today, because as we said, he's up against Splyce, and Tully, we're talking about Splyce here. What is your big thing from them? The early game is the focus for them here?
Yes, I think that their early game pressure, that they throw curveballs at any team that they play, and if the enemy team hits the curveball, then, well, all right, well, crap, we got to go back to the drawing board. And then if they get off to a successful early game, I think they just run wild against any team.
Now, we will mention as well, CycloneSpin's the one we're following along some of these replays through Splyce's performances so far through this split, Tolly. And I think he's stepped up quite a considerable amount from the spring split, I'd say. He's starting to cause a lot more problems in these games from the Hunter role.
He's able to really look for the openings. He soloed BaRRaCCuDDa the last time that they faced. It was a 2-level differential, so once he sees a small little weakness or an opening, he will take advantage of it. There's a lot of methodical thought process when CycloneSpin is playing, whether it's the solo lane, whether it's the Hunter lane. He's not going to back down from an engagement.
So that's definitely going to be the dual lane to watch today. The supports Aror and JeffHindla obviously in this game too, so they're no slouches when it comes to pro-level play. That dual lane should be very exciting here.
Aror generally loves to rotate very often, trying to set up the best, whereas I think that JeffHindla usually stays more in the dual lane than anywhere else, so that could be a big telltale sign of how this game is going to pan out.
Into picks and bans we go then. An important game for both these two teams. If Splyce loses today, they will not be going to LAN. It will be Spacestation Gaming in their stead. Spacestation lose, well, it could be a couple of different teams that could make it in their place as well. Naja, the first ban. That's really focused at Cyno straight away.
He's known to play the Naja and the Erlang Shen. If the focus is Cyno, then Erlang Shen would be the next ban.
Well, let's find out. I don't think you can you ban both of them? I don't think you really can.
It's difficult. Hercules banned, though.
Divios focused.
Definitely Divios focused, and SSG definitely could play it themselves. Aquarius has been known to play, but you're not going to first pick it.
I was going to say, recently Splyce did run that Hercules in the jungle too, so that might be a secondary shot towards Cyno, as well as hitting Divios at the same time. If you show you're going to put a god in, you know, multiple positions, you can try and ban that away and shut down both those roles, but it's going to be the Chernobog first pick for SSG then.
And that's a great idea, to allow BaRRaCCuDDa a lot of freedom for whatever he wants. Knowing how often JeffHindla rotates to his lane, that means that he could just leave him alone for the most part and just utilize a lot of his escapes between the double dash from the wall or just to hover around in the air for his teammates to clean up.
Sylvanus by Splyce locked in here, and that is definitely a counter pick to trying to take it away from JeffHindla, who loves to play it in the dual lane. It gives you the early pressure. And the default that we've seen Jeff go to is that Terra. When he's not had the Sylvanus, it's Terra or Athena.
It's usually the Athena, Terra, I would say Sylvanus, and Kumakarna that JeffHindla has been preferring. And so it's difficult to really lock him down. Just like, you got to pick your poison against Space Station Gaming. Not just JeffHindla, but as a whole unit.
But you said coming into this one, you want to see Splyce in the early game. Well, Sylvanus allows you to get some pressure in that early game and maybe find some pressure. With the Medusa in tow now, we'll find out how that works out. Medusa with some recent buffs. She got an extra Viper shot here roll there too. The wave clear is not too bad for poking out the opposition at the same time as that as we go into the counterban phase.
And looking for a lot of damage in the laning phase between Aror and CycloneSpin. He's going to be very aggressive, looking for some of these purple buff invades. Terra level 1 struggles to control the laning phase. You have to position your monolith perfectly to delay your minions from entering the lane, and we'll see if that's how Space Station want to play this one out.
You can really see something in the counterban section. Cyno really been focused heavily by Space Station Gaming here, making sure he doesn't have his prime options. But meanwhile, Aquarius is not going to get his healers. No Afro, no Chungo. What's next on the list after that? Zhong?
Apparently Camazotz, because Camazotz got a little bit of loving as well. Getting increased base mana, reducing some of the cost of his abilities, allows him to be played more often without having to always rely on the Breastplate of Valor or the Transcendence.
I thought about Zhong in the solo lane, and that's exactly what we're going to see now. Although, could be in the mid lane for Baskin. It is a mage after all, not the greatest, safest mage. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's Raijin mid for Baskin and Zhong for Aquarius in the solo lane.
More burst damage from the Raijin, more just overall sustained damage from the Zhong as the ultimate progresses throughout the team fights. And Space Station Gaming have a lot of just AoE damage potential. Splyce getting some aggressive picks with this Osiris, though.
They are. Osiris versus Zhong is a matchup that I think Osiris does okay, and he's got magical protections at base and just beats up the Zhong.
That's true. He's going to be looking to left-click the Zhong every single time. Spam those sickles, spam those flails, build that passive to get the 1% magical mitigation and 2% physical.
One question before we go to the casters. First, well, two actually. Who do you think's going to win, first of all? This is the easy one. Probably not, though, but...
Not as easy as
I know
was.
it's not.
I'm going to give it to Splyce because I think Osiris is going to pop off.
What relic does Zhong go with at the start? Sprint?
Ooh, teleport.
Teleport, really?
Yeah.
All right, we'll find out. Taco and Tom are standing by to bring you game one. Big set this. Let's go.
Another Zhong pick means I'm very happy. Tom and Taco bringing you this one. How are you excited about this?
Oh, yeah. I am definitely gearing up for this one, guys.
It's going to be a long recovery for all of us.
They're not aware that I've already got the pivot put in place.
Yeah, we were practicing the
That's the easy. You just got to get used to it. It's not a chair anymore.
No,
it's just,
just one of these. It's in the hips. It's in the hips.
Hips don't lie.
That's true.
Shakira said it best.
We'll see if Splyce can lie or not. Do you think they're going to take this one?
This is going to be a really rough one for both of these teams because I think the mental aspect is definitely coming into play if you're Splyce, but also I think a little bit of that's kind of bleeding over onto Space Station also. I mean, this is a matchup that they have lost before in the past.
Yeah, this one is going to be a little bit tough. Space Station Gaming has looked really strong. I think a lot of the teams are kind of faltering off now towards the end of the summer split. Space Station Gaming looks a little mortal. Let's jump into game and see how mortal they will be if they will drop it to Splyce, who has been very, very strong this summer.
People are just going to think I have a really intense stare down at you.
I mean,
during
you do.
Those inter-ranging segments, but, as long as you're okay with it, I mean, I think that's what matters.
Giving me the daggers in the eyes, just staring me down.
I mean, something about Hispanic woman. What can I say? it's just genetics.
It's the sass built in. Here's the old start from the Terra. We see this a number of times. Jeff is going to block the minions with the Terra on the back line so that it takes longer for these guys to reach lane. Very, very small adjustment, but what it does allow, it allows Space Station Gaming to start in the or take advantage of their opposition here.
BaRRaCCuDDa and Jeff could choose to just look for the purple buff straight away, but they're going for the poke potential instead against Aror. They figure if they can get enough damage against Aror, it might deter him and Cyclone for looking for a purple buff invade, and plus, since they did it early enough in the lane, they get the purple buff now for free anyway.
Yeah, the Sylvanus Medusa combo is certainly very, very high when it comes down to value of lane pressure. I mean, Sylvanus has the AoE basics that go over you, and then Medusa Acid Spray is one of the better abilities that not just clearing the wave, but also providing poke.
And something I'm noticing also is that Cyclone, as opposed to the more conventional style of Medusa play, where we tend to see some players maybe opting for that Transcendence, attack speed, penetration type build, because she can be played off the abilities. She has a lot of ability-based damage between the Acid Spray and the Petrify, even the Lacerate, I think, to a certain extent, but I like this route towards the auto-attack method because building into the Devourer's Gauntlet means that he might have a chance to match that of BaRRaCCuDDa in terms of utilizing both the abilities and the in-hand damage.
Uh-oh, big damage in the middle lane. Andinster sets up Baskin, and the two of them find first blood. Last hit goes to Andy, but he stands still, and Cyno's able to screech on through. The answer back comes there, and it's going to make us back to a tie game.
That's just one of those moments where if you're Andinster, you're just trying to get behind your minion as quickly as possible. That's why he just ran in a straight line, risked it for the biscuit, just didn't pay off. Cyno got that Vampiric Screech out in time.
Easy for, honestly, both of them. Just great taunt coming out from Andy, lining up his mid lane, who's going to have to jump away now, but Cyno with the slow and the Screech. Big damage, Baskin down to about 25%.
Camazotz in general has really not been as popular as what he once was, at least towards the latter end of Season 4. Actually, hold that thought. JeffHindla here taking a little bit more damage than he was expecting. Acid Spray for the cleanup. This is a hot start from Splyce.
I'm liking the amount of destruction that we're seeing. Heavy just gameplay going on here. Splyce recently found themselves and found their identity, I think, in this summer split. They've been about this early game. These early game matches, these early game strategies have been a big part of what they really want to bring to the battlefield.
I like this so far, though, from Splyce, because you have to take advantage of the pressure wherever you can get it. You see Spacestation pulling out Baskin with the Raijin, so throw the Camazotz in there to kind of mix things up a little bit. Divios on the Osiris also just looking for heavy poke potential against Aquarius. Now they've got a blue buff and they get it for free.
Well, here's Andinster. They might pay for it here. Nice stun coming out from the Zhong. Cyno and Divios now ready to fight. Andy ran away.
Andy just not on the same page as Aquarius for that one. Cyno so low in mana, doesn't have enough abilities, or at least for the moment didn't have anything. And Andy just jumped out in a bit of a panic there, it seemed. Maybe expecting some sort of rotation, but there was no one else.
He had used all of his cooldowns, and I guess his ability to sit in there and just trade basics. He didn't think he'd be able to do it.
But he could have ambushed up and down, straight in the air, gotten that damage off on the Cyno. Even worst case scenario, actually, he might be able to find it anyway.
Oh, he missed the basic! Cyno jumps over it. That's a nice play from Cyno right there. I like that.
That's twice now, though, within the span of about a minute and a half. Cyno flirting with death and still managing to escape it.
So you were on something before which I really hadn't given much thought until... Actually, it's funny that it comes up now of all times because it was literally just yesterday. Where is the Batman? Like, why don't we see much Camazotz anymore?
Camazotz kind of just fell out of love. I think the nerfs to his Bat Out of Hell, that was one of the primary reasons why he was so popular in competitive play, because it just lasted for so long. You could typically wait out the entire duration of the Aegis, and then you get that guaranteed damage no matter what, plus the fact that it gets stronger depending on how many enemies are in the vicinity. So there's a lot of nice things about it, but I think it was more so just his early and mid-game not transitioning as well after a couple of power adjustments to his kit. And that severely impacted his late game enough. And with the meta, especially at competitive level, one more time, competitive is the key here. These guys play at a completely different pace than your standard casual rank game. And so you can kind of just expect to see the gods like Camazotz, who don't fare as well in the late, not really being so loved.
Especially with a lack of any control. He's just pure damage. The slow is big, and we have to talk about that. But
it's like a moderately worse version of Achilles, I think, is probably a way that SPL players would view it, because at least with Achilles, you get the guaranteed execution from the Fatal Strike, and both gods are still there to ideally deal just a ton of damage before being taken out.
Yeah, so not going to be the case there for Cyno, but so far, battling above the meta. Left side, Spacestation Gaming gave up their purple. Aquarius now being ganked, but here comes help from Andy. The big play as he grabs the double Deathbane. Not able to find the kill onto Divios, but the dot damage is good, and the dots decimate the dinosaur.
Andinster wants the invade, but him and Aquarius know that Best is right around the corner. Best, though, gonna be deterred from pursuing that, realizing Aquarius a little bit too healthy to want to try and steal that blue buff away from Space Station, solo, and jungle. So Splyce just gonna have to hold that one.
Yeah, not really anything they could do there, I think. You just have to kind of watch that one go down, unfortunately. Not going to be able to find the victory after that fact. But so 2-2, nice even play here.
It's confirmed, though. Third time's a charm, at least if you're trying to kill Cyno.
Oh, yeah, you just got to keep on keeping on, and you'll eventually get there. Cyno goes down, but still has about half. Well, actually, no. I think Andy kind of evened himself up there. Cyno was leading the experience in the jungle. So a very important kill, I think, for Andinster.
This duo lane has been rough, though, for BaRRa and Jeff. They have had absolutely zero room to breathe. Between Sylvanus and Medusa, you can't really expect a whole lot of pressure to occur. Terra, you accept your flaws at the very start. That's why we saw that little bit of a stop that Jeff tried to place with that early wall on the Terra, and it worked well enough that the duo lane hasn't suffered more than one death so far. If they can maintain this, then there's really not too much to worry about.
Oof. Cyno trying to get the invade, and Aquarius just walks over and goes, wah! Takes it away. Easy.
But speed buff still ripe for the taking. Splyce, though, haven't seemed to spot it out. They're going to settle for the back harpies instead on that right-hand side, and now Cyno going to head back over into mid lane to split some XP with Best.
I like the XP harpies. Sometimes going for the speed buff is too deep, and you can definitely get yourself into trouble that way. So going for the XP harpies, I think, is a nice plan here. Divios will look for Zhong.
Wow.
And uses the ultimate as soon as he sees Andy. Andy's taunts have been on point today, so I think there's a reason to be afraid.
But if you could just walk into a lane and automatically force an Osiris ult right as his buff is spawning also, that's just rough stuff there for Divios. Even uses the teleport to get back to lane, but won't really matter in the grand scheme of things, as Aquarius is going to make sure to back no problem here. And I'm also taking notice of Baskin's build because he's opted for that Soul Reaver second item. We saw him obliterate Best at the very start of this match for the first blood, and it's been quiet in the mid lane ever since. I think that was kind of Splyce's we can't do this moment.
For sure. I like this build, honestly, coming out for some of the more just pure damage-oriented mages. Baskin here on the Raijin. Zeus, who's been played by Pretty Prime a lot. They're just chunking him.
Oh,
the ultimate, the one-man drum show. Baskin. He's an entire drum line by himself, taking care of the direct opposition. The Best falls down, and because of that, Space Station Gaming will be able to chase Splyce off of the objective.
Wasn't over just yet either. BaRRaCCuDDa also looking to try and utilize that Living Nightmare, but not finding a proper target to go on. He's just going to fall right back down to the ground. Aquarius, though, could be in a lot of trouble with Sanctuary set for JeffHindla. Lacerate's going to do it, and Aror actually with the ticks of that Wrath of Terra.
Ultimate tried to be used there from Cyclone, but as you said, Aror able to snatch that one out of the air. 1-0-1 for both members of the Splyce duo lane. And very important that they get that kill, Taco, because Space Station Gaming have been getting the kills and the jungle camps after the fact. Very cool to see Splyce answer back with a kill and potentially the Gold Fury. And that's exactly what they'll do. BaRRaCCuDDa a little bit too late. And Space Station Gaming now looking up at about 1,000 gold lead from Splyce, give or take.
Oh, but this could be trouble for Best. No, instead he's going to be able to teleport away over the wall as Cyno blinks out from Andinster's ambush, and that's just Space Station holding a big old goose egg.
Yeah, just a really, really good play from Splyce. One, they had already identified that they were looking for the Gold Fury now-ish, right? We saw them look for that play, but then the Best dies in middle lane. So they get what they can off of the kill from JeffHindla and directly go gold.
Kind of a double-edged sword also if you're Baskin, though. Sure, you get the solo kill onto the Best, but you don't have your Tycho drums anymore to defend against that Gold Fury. I don't think Splyce goes for that gold unless Baskin's ultimate is down because he has a Soul Reaver damage.
Exactly. Yeah, bingo. I think you nailed it. What's a lot of fun about that one is that this is a prime example of the world working against me. I like to see highlight reel plays. I always want to see these guys go for the solo kill. But here's a prime example of where, you know, we preach kills aren't what wins games. It's the objectives. You looked really cool, Baskin, but you gave up the gold here.
And Jeff also, I mean, absolutely abused in this early game portion. And that's, of course, we've already talked about it plenty, to be expected against a high aggro duo lane like Aror or on the Sylvanus and the Medusa for Cyclone. And I mean, there's a certain point where slapping a Band-Aid on, it just isn't going to do the trick anymore. And he's been trying to develop a lead for Aquarius over in solo. He's accomplished that. It's a minimal one, but it's enough, I think, for the Zhong. Would like to start seeing andinster spend a little bit more time hovering that left-hand side, because at the very least, he's going to force Cyno's attention over to duo also.
Yeah, and that'll cause a little bit of an issue. Divios with a bit of an issue. Jumps over the exorcism, but there's 3 different dots ticking. Divios falls down to the hand of Aquarius. The Aquaman finds himself top player damage, and a nice assist coming out from the jungle.
That's just Divios trying to decide, do I give it to the jungler or do I give it to Aquarius?
Yeah, already kind of down for the count. BaRRa now trying to defend his tier 1 tower. And it looks like Splyce are just ready to go.
Yeah, this one's toast. BaRRaCCuDDa not really wanting to take the 1v2 all by himself. He's got Jeff for support in the jungle, hovering that top end of the purple buff, but it's just a little bit too risky. Even with the Earth and Fury, it's going to be hard to outdamage that Medusa-Sylvanus combination.
Especially right now. Medusa kind of stepping into herself at the moment. The next item, even though he goes with the Devo gloves, I would love to see a Crusher here. But I think we might see a more traditional Hunter build from CycloneSpin. But either way, still, this is where that Medusa is the most effective.
As if Divios didn't have it rough enough already. I mean, which protection do you build into? Magical, physical? He rushed the Genjis, but he might have needed the Glass Shield a little bit sooner, because Andy will not leave this solo lane alone.
Yeah, very rough time. Here comes Baskin, though, looking for a roar. And yeah, he's got the damage. Mid lane gets one. BaRRaCCuDDa isolating the enemy Hunter. CycloneSpin able to wiggle on through the tunnel. Wind up in Jersey. 3-5. Spacestation Gaming outtied.
It's crazy, though, to think that andinster can be on the opposite side of the map, and yet one rotation from Baskin is all that duo needs for every little bit of that pressure to be alleviated.
Yeah, just nice and easy there. Andy versus Cyno. Cyno gets hit by the ultimate. Might be able to at least trade this one out. Gets the basic. It looks like he's going to survive, but the rotation from the solo or the mid lane. Baskin jumping forward. The solo not really there until...
long gone.
Yeah.
Even if Aquarius comes nearby, he's going to have to be quick on the trigger finger to take out Cyno. In fact, this could be trouble for Aquarius, kind of overextending his boundaries without any of his team to back him up.
Ooh, half HP for the Zhong. Has the ultimate in line, though, so a little bit tanky here. Cyno has to stay out of it. Aquarius jumped on. Divios gets the kill.
I mean, what more can you do there? As Aquarius, you think it's only 2 people, 3 at best, and suddenly there's 4 just collapsing right on top of you, and all the while his team's nowhere to be found because they're not Janus. They don't have globals.
That's the thing, is that, yeah, I mean, just not able to keep up with the rotation from Splyce. The best playing the Janus exactly the way he needs to.
The main problem with that play from Aquarius is the fact that that 2-level gap that he had on himself or over Divios, completely erased now. 1 death is all it took.
And now, nice and even. Divios has the Genjis, and that's going to deal with the Zhong. Now building in the Glad Shield, as you mentioned. That'll hopefully deal with some of the physical damage. andinster building largely into the power, not the tanky Serqet builds that we've seen in the past.
And I like this from andinster. I like that he's prioritizing his cooldown reduction here, because if you're going to keep up with the Janus composition, you need to have those cooldowns. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up building even 30 or 40%, maxing it out as soon as possible. Probably going to opt for an early Brawlers, possibly, just to deal with Aror and CycloneSpin. Also, Cyno has a relatively decent self-sustain, and I think it's mostly the self-sustain to be concerned with as opposed to overall team sustain.
Yeah, Cyno can kind of stay out in the jungle for as long as he'd like. You can see him going there into the Heartseeker. So now he's really going to start to chunk. CycloneSpin, on the other hand, looking back at his build, going into early crit. Going to be either a Wind Demon or a Poison Star here. Should be a very interesting look from the Medusa player.
No real surprises. I think it's pretty common nowadays for a lot of these pro-level hunters to opt immediately for the Poison Star. The passive just so beneficial for the rest of your team that it makes it a fairly ideal item, even though the base stats alone aren't exactly the greatest. It's just all about that passive, the damage reduction by 20%. Speaking of damage, andinster doing a whole lot of it to the best.
Oh, Baskin, 2 scoops right there for the mid laner. Aquarius being aggressed on by Divios. Chin, chick, just little by little. And here comes BaRRaCCuDDa to protect his solo lane. Divios in trouble now. Big shots coming out from the Hunter. Baskin is here. Divios sandwiched, and Baskin eaten again. 4-0-1 for the Long Island mid laner.
And they're not even hesitating. They're going straight for the Fire Giant right at 16 minutes. No one from Splyce has any idea because you just wouldn't anticipate this. Auror's made the call out to his team, but they just know they're not going to be here in time.
Yeah, this is a give up. Auror's going to blink in and get it! They're going to get it! Splyce have rolled the dice, and it comes up nice. They're on the other side taking the Gold Fury. And man, they get away with that one. Aquarius going to fall down. 17 minutes in. Splyce take away what Space Station were trying for.
That just hurts to see if you're a Space Station fan at home, folks, because that is actually Space Station being a little bit too lazy on the objective. They get the kill onto Divios, really well played, but somebody has to turn around. I'm not sure if they were completely oblivious to the fact that Aror was there. It's just, they could have shredded Aror in less than half a second. We saw them blow up Aror in about half a second.
And even if they don't get the kill, just keep him in combat so he can't blink forward. There's a lot of things to do there. I mean, Splyce, this was, I get enthralled when I see teams make a plan and execute it. And this call was cut and dry. This was Splyce going, we lose Fire Giant, get gold. I'll throw my life away trying to steal it because worst case scenario, I die. Best case scenario, I get it. And, well, the result? I can hear Aror laughing from here. I can hear Auror's giggle from here in Atlanta.
Aror was like level 11, 12 when that play occurred. He could care less what happens in that moment because win or lose there, taking that game for the Fire Giant will never work against him because his respawn timer is so low, he'd be back up in time to have defended any of the T2 structures if that was the Splyce decision call.
Yep. Just a beautiful call from Splyce, who are now on the aggressive. 2,000 gold up plus the Fire Giant. Aror doesn't have it and will wind up giving his life away. JeffHindla getting poked down to about 50. Splyce 4 members strong with the Fire Giant. Here comes Cyno, looking for more. Causes a jump away from Baskin.
Wasn't able to connect those vampiric bats, though, onto Baskin. He was looking for the slow there so the rest of his team could catch up. Maybe look to dive this Raijin underneath his own T1. Instead, Jeff gonna eat that Heartseeker proc with the vampiric Screech.
Easy. Man. Game has been anything but for either of these teams. Splyce and Space Station Gaming both try to keep themselves in it. Divios going to be collapsed on. There it is. Nice blink, Osiris. Interesting choice.
That's definitely not something you see every day.
No,
a blink Osiris is interesting because there's not many situations where I could see this being a very favorable pickup in comparison to a lot of the more normal relic choices from solo laners, particularly Osiris's. You're normally looking at Thorns, for especially against auto attack based gods like BaRRaCCuDDa. I think it could even work against Aquarius and andinster pretty heavily.
I think, against Zhong we learned 3 years ago, build Shell. And I think that Sprint is also a very attractive option with this enemy team. Divios going the blink. This is what, okay, jump on top of Aquarius. There's the knockup. All players from Splyce just isolating him. And the Penguin goes down.
He got to press his Aegis, and that was it.
That's what we call the Zapman Aegis. It's the classic Zapman Aegis.
Well, sometimes you think, I'll get the heal off. That was Aquarius. I can get this heal off, and my team will be here by the time I actually do end up dying.
Even if he gets the heal off, I think he's just toasted. Splyce now looking for the right side play. Cyno leading the charge. Going on top of Baskin. Not going to be able to really find much with the ultimate. That was just a bad play. And now Splyce looking for a second time.
A little bit awkward there. Divios keeping andinster away from the fight. Love this spacing control that Splyce are looking for. Definitely making the right steps towards sieging this T2 tower. JeffHindla, nice double stun there onto Aror and TheBest. But they've only managed to pull best purification beads. That's still an important relic to have on cooldown.
Lotus Crown, really important. Just 20 procs to his whole team. Yeah, I'll take that. Nice itemization coming out from Aror. Still going into the binding, but here comes something different. CycloneSpin of the boys trying to deal with this. Here comes the problems from Aquarius, but everybody through the Janus portal. Oh, Andy jumps over the ultimate. Splyce now on their tier 2, but no ultimates from SSG.
And finally, Aquarius managed to find the last hit onto Aurora. Divios going to get gobbled up and tossed back into the entirety of Space Station Gaming. Andinster's last breath, giving him the credit for it. And now, this is the moment that Space Station can choose to be on the aggressive. They're going to spend the gold that they just acquired from that team fight. Same case scenario here for Splyce, except they only have 3 members as opposed to Space Station's full-on roster. And guess who's back? Fire Giant. Also, you're supposed to, you know.
Shady?
No.
Shady Shades? That's a Paladins player.
Oh, it's like, guess who's back? Back again.
Back again.
Fire Giant's back.
Shady's back?
Back again.
Oh, tell some friends.
I'll tell Space Station, but they probably already knew.
Probably.
They still got the timer from the last one. That
Aror has a timer too, though.
That they lost to Aror.
Splyce get the other Gold Fury. Baskin's here to deal with it, though. Ooh, well, CycloneSpin not going to deal with it well. Baskin could go down as Cyno plays his cards right, but he's got no mana. Divios with the teleport and the through space in time. Gonna dink JeffHindla. There's the jump and the cut down from Divios. Chainsaw character doing well. Still, there's the kill.
He
Nice
almost
job.
had it. He was waiting for the secondary dash, but this time, Auror's too busy on the left-hand side of the map, which means that the Fire Giant is all Space Stations to acquire. That one's going to go down, no contest, but
Was that the right play?
I think so, but it might end up costing them a little bit for it. T2 about to fall on the left-hand side. Baskin going to try and solo out Best again.
I mean, Splyce is 3,000 gold up at this point, Taco. I understand. Well, that was a misclick. BaRRaCCuDDa dives on Divios, not the best. Yeah, it was.
Was it, though? He might have been trying to save his mid laner, and right now he's still going to manage to come up with a kill.
Is he?
I think.
Baskin will.
Baskin gets the last hit credit. John Saltzer's just there to make Baskin look good.
I will give BaRRa the benefit of the doubt. That is a player that has earned the benefit of the doubt for me. I will say that he chose that one.
Honestly, if we asked him, he'd probably tell you he doesn't remember.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely true. Aquarius and the boys marching up the middle lane. Here comes CycloneSpin trying to make this one happen. BaRRa's always been a guy that kind of lives in the moment, plays the game as it comes to him.
But I like how Baskin waits until Divios is actually in kill threshold, and he's like, I'm turning around. We're turning this car right back around. We are getting this kill, baby.
I will turn this vehicle right around.
Just look at that KDA. And look at Idiot BaRRa's KDA.
Yeah, look at that. 1-0-6.
Nice assist, BaRRa.
Yeah. I mean, most people, most casuals just read the 1-0. You ever get that in your ranked game where you're like 2-2 and 700? And somebody makes fun of you going, you're 2-2, idiot. And you're like, I have 700 assists.
That's a pretty sweet KDA, man.
6-0-5? Or you just mean 6-0?
8.5.
Yeah.
Just for this game, the raw calculations for this match.
Oof. 8.5?
That's spicy.
Splyce are still technically in the lead. I don't. Taco.
What is a lead, though, at 24 minutes? I don't really consider it to be gold at this point anymore. Yeah. I consider it to be the team with the Fire Giant tearing down the left-hand lane that Splyce doesn't even feel comfortable trying to fight into the T2 towers with, because we saw, I think that's been the main difference also. Space Station, they defended the hell out of their right-hand tower, at least on the T2. They did not let that one go down very easily for Splyce. Splyce had to work for that, and they didn't even manage to siege it the first time around. They had to come back later on in order to fully finish off that tower, and so it just doesn't feel as balanced as it should be, despite Splyce having had that huge boon of gold from stealing the Fire Giant to begin with.
Yeah, I guess I don't understand why we didn't see Splyce even defend the Fire Giant. It was just very curious moments here from Splyce, giving up more than I think they should have. I would have liked to see more team fights from them.
It depends. For me, the match outcome is going to determine whether it was worth it or not in the end, because in my mind, Splyce makes that decision based on the fact that they get a guaranteed T2 win left. That gold is going to help them stay relevant for the next fight because of the itemization choices that aren't going to be completely shut off from them. And even still, this is the aggression that we were waiting to see.
There's a blink forward from the support, knocking up multiple members. Spacestation Gaming still trying to fight in. BaRRaCCuDDa takes care of Aror. There's the bat in the sky. Baskin uses the Aegis, but the backline still being penetrated. A couple of basics will do it. Cyno takes down Baskin through 2 portals. Andy on the run, blinks forward, finds the taunt. Zigzag on cooldown. Cyno heals up a little bit, but this could be it. Screech is good. Where's the bats? Where's the bats? Cyno needs the bats. BaRRaCCuDDa takes 1. BaRRaCCuDDa takes 2.
That one just walked right up to BaRRa. And now Andy, he's not done just yet. Best held on to his Purification Bees that entire fight, but finally Andis are going to force those away from him with that Cobra's Kiss. And this is the last T2 left standing for Splyce on the map. Everything's been split wide open here by Spacestation in one giant siege.
Easy. That's the way they made it look. Spacestation Gaming now with control of the game. Had control of the game since that last Fire Giant. And Taco, I can't help but think that Splyce gave this one away. They were 3.5, 4,000 gold in the lead and didn't defend a Fire Giant. I think that is just objectively the wrong call. We watch teams relinquish Fire Giant when there's a reason to, when they have to defend a Phoenix, when they have to push up fire minions. This time the option was just take gold instead. I don't agree with that.
They got Gold Fury, they got the T2 tower, so gold-wise, they're up. And they were up prior to Spacestation sieging, and even now, they're only down by about, what, 2,000-3,000 gold? That's all nothing in comparison to what Spacestation have managed to accomplish in that one Fire Giant siege. I think the main issue that Splyce are encountering right now is that they kind of drafted a counter-initiation composition, and Spacestation are just finishing the fights before they begin.
Oh, andinster gets blown up, but escapes with his life just narrowly. Baskin going to be knocked up by Aror, but he's by himself. Splyce have to show up, but they're a little bit too late. Oh.
BaRRa's in the air. BaRRa's in the air, and he's looking for Cyno. Not going to be able to catch him. Magai's cloak going to make sure to buy Cyno a little bit of time to get that bat out of hell off. And spacing's been created, but that's everything blown from Splyce. The only member left with an ultimate is CycloneSpin, and Petrify, while it can be useful, I'm not sure it's rob the Fire Giant and kill everybody on Space Station useful.
I don't know. I do like Medusa ult here. I would disagree with you, but I would much prefer it if all of my team had their ultimates for sure.
I should clarify that because there's a lack of setup, it's going to be hard for Cyclone to find the right corner to go around.
I'll buy that one, but Andy gets chunked to half HP already. Petrifier on the left side, more accurate to what you said, Taco. Not too big of a deal. Just not enough of an impact there. Andinster's really low, but that's mainly from TheBest.
I like how we tried to approach that, but the problem was most of Space Station members were already faced towards the side. This could be trouble, though, for Space Station. They're all pretty poked out here, and Splyce, they're already right back and ready for the action. They're perfectly healed up. 4 members still left to defend this Fire Giant, and it's actually going to be Splyce choosing to pick it up.
Here they go, starting it. Half HP on the big guy. Aquarius, relatively healthy. Make that. No, not at all. He gets pulled and pushed and killed. BaRRaCCuDDa answers back by taking down Cyno. It's a 1-for-1 so far. Splyce peeled off the Fire Giant, looking for the fight instead. Crit's coming out. JeffHindla low.
Oh, but BaRRa's getting picked off from the rest of the team. Divios completely handling him. BaRRa's trapped inside of the wall, still looking for an escape route. Gonna try and take on TheBest. Manages to Aegis out the unstable vortex, and he finds the kill onto TheBest in the end.
Divios is able to get one, but he's gonna fall out of the Serqet poison here. Baskin takes care of that easily. And now CycloneSpin on the run. He's just, yeah, what are you gonna do there?
I think that was Cyclone trying to replicate the BaRRaCCuDDa moment we just saw.
Yeah.
Going onto the mage after he's used all of his cooldowns, because once Janus portals and drops the unstable vortex, if you Aegis that out, you're good to go. He's got to use that secondary relic if he wants to wait for the next bout of his abilities to be up off cooldown, and really well played there by Spacestation. That felt like a fight they should have lost hands down.
Yeah, Spacestation just making a really clean play coming off of BaRRaCCuDDa's quick thinking, right? Hiding in the wall, making sure he's untargetable. Very, very nice use of the Chernobog.
Splyce just got so distracted by andinster, I feel.
Yeah.
Andy did a great job making sure that no one came near BaRRaCCuDDa while he was isolated and separated by Divios. And there's only so much more Divios could have done there. You got to wait at least, I believe, up to 5 seconds whenever you go into the wall as Chernobog. So that's a pretty long time period to evade some abilities and damage.
Yeah, it's certainly nothing to shake a stick at. You can see that right there.
3 seconds.
Yep, very, very. That's
still a long time.
And 3 seconds in the middle of a team fight like that is an eternity. You're sitting there waiting for him to come out of the wall while the entire team surrounds you, collapses on you, taunts you, jumps on you, and you're like, he's going to come out eventually. He's got to, but you're probably dead.
And now, Spacestation, while BaRRa might not have the Fire Giant, the rest of his team sure does, and they'll make quick work of that Gold Fury. And now, with every single tower off the map, Spacestation have the option to just barrel on down the left-hand lane, look to take the Phoenix that's furthest away from Fire Giant, just in case this game ends up being a little bit of a longer one. They want to go for the best Phoenix possible. And outside of that, I mean, this is just what you expect to see from a lot of teams at this point. You can't really afford to be separated from any of your members. If your carriers are left alone, then you just know that Cyno's going to be lurking right around the corners. He's got the blow-up potential that you need to see. The problem that Cyno's been encountering is that with Spacestation constantly being grouped, Camazotz no longer has the freedom, or the leisure, I should say, to actually work his way into the backline and look for those picks that he found so often in the early game.
And andinster is doing a great job of just, as soon as Cyno finds his way in the back, just controlling him. Andy's been having a great game, and I think this is very interesting to watch because he hasn't been having the game of, I'm going to gank everybody and be 10-0. He's just had a great game doing his job.
They both knew the other was there.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt. I mean, both junglers, Magai's cloak, one goal in mind. That is to control the other one before your backline dies.
Cyno, I think, has the upper hand there. None of his stuff relies on crowd control, whereas Andy going to really rely on those shurikens, Cobra's Kiss. So Cyno might be able to handle that 1v1.
As long as Andy can get a little tick of the Deathbane or even the Cobra's Kiss onto Cyno, then he'll usually be in the clear. You just want that Brawler's proc to happen. That way, in case Cyno chunks you with the Vampiric Bats, you at least don't have to worry about his self-sustain murdering you.
Cyno still defending the middle lane. andinster, however, looping back here on the left-hand side. Cyno sees him, knows that he's got to go in here. Looks for the damage on top of Andy. Terra ultimate, but no real initiation.
BaRRaCCuDDa just focusing out the Phoenix and be able to avoid that Lord of Darkness. And Divios now looking to chase everybody around. Lord of the Afterlife was off the mark, but Baskin still choosing to go forward.
Aquarius taking out the tower. There it is, leashed up. Cyno now going forward. Splyce thinking about being aggressive here. CycloneSpin carded up. 90% of the Phoenix's health has been done. BaRRaCCuDDa landing underneath the Phoenix here, using that ultimate. Aror low. Here comes Cyno! Aquarius takes care of him, though. Baskin's so very low. Divios trying to find the basics in traffic. Can't. But one will take down the support player. Divios takes care of Baskin. Aquarius falls down. Double scoops for BaRRaCCuDDa, though. Triple for BaRRaCCuDDa, though. And the best, the only one standing, Divios, Cyno, Aror, and Cyclone all out for 40+. Not willing to take on the mage.
They can't fight this. BaRRa doesn't have any mana, and andinster doesn't have any health. The two probably wish they could trade with the other right now, but what I think would have normally been a game ender had they managed to find the best there, that Janus just going to barely manage to wiggle away through the portal.
Yeah, just that's what he does. Got indoors. Getting out of there.
Best just saved the game.
He did, honestly.
By surviving.
Yeah, just by living. Just creates enough of a threat that Spacestation Gaming can't go in there and take care of the Titan. Just like that, we're here.
One unstable Vortex could have quite possibly killed them both at the exact same time, though.
Oh yeah. I don't know if maybe my tone is deceiving me.
No. I wasn't saying that in response to anything.
Yeah, no, that was the correct call, because TheBest could just kill them. The Janus ultimate does not do damage to towers, or excuse me, to the Titan, but it certainly does damage to BaRRaCCuDDas. So Janus gonna retreat there and leave Space Station Gaming looking for one more shot. Fire Giant has respawned, and it's anybody's Giant.
I'm a little surprised, though, during that last siege on the left-hand Phoenix, that Aror didn't die sooner. I felt like he was kind of just hanging out on the left-hand wing of that Phoenix, pretty far apart from the rest of his team. The Space Station not fully ready to commit. Right now, though, this is the fight that they were looking for. Cyno already forced into that bat out of hell. He's just going to continue to get chased down here, though, by Space Station.
Yeah, Baskin won't be able to catch up there, but still, the damage might have been done, knocking Cyno down to below half. Space Station looking for fire.
I like BaRRa's usage of the Chernobog ultimate. That Living Nightmare has been fantastically played because he waits for the slow to really take effect and his team get in position. Speaking of which, Best out of position just a little bit there. Going to cost him his life to andinster.
But Cyclone trades it back. BaRRaCCuDDa able to take care of Aurora, so it's a 2-for-1, 3-for-1. Baskin puts down the Hunter. Now Divios running in circles. Going to stun out 2. Going to stun out 4. Mantle at Discord. Will be a nice job, but Baskin, Robin, Splyce of their HP. Kill number 30. Now Space Station Gaming double what Splyce has brought to the table. Splyce looked good on a nice Fire Giant seal coming out from Aurora, but just wasn't enough, man.
Divios knew he was dead there. He's just doing whatever he can to pretty much see what happens next. Cyno gonna meet the same fate as Divios, I believe. Ends up falling to the hands of Baskin right as the Titan ends at the same moment.
Game numero uno. Space Station Gaming go ahead and rob this one. Nicely done. Splyce was fighting nice throughout the mid-game and even the early game. But late game, Space Station just come out on top.
I think that there were definitely surges of life from Splyce. It just kind of felt like they also didn't really know what to do with it once they were in the lead.
Yeah,
they were expecting, I think, a little bit too much towards that counter initiation, that their composition was sick whenever they got those counter initiations off. But once Space Station got or re-established control of the map, I think that was the big issue that Splyce then ran into. They weren't really sure where to engage or disengage with those Janus ultimates.
Yeah, you know, I'm with you. I think this was the right way to approach Yang Kui. He's an all-in god, make him blow the ultimate and then re-engage. Things didn't go as according to plan, though, unfortunately for Splyce, so things wind up in the loss column. Space Station Gaming, who wins the most valuable player? That's what we ask y'all out there in Mixer Chat. And with game 1 of the books, we'll move on to game 2, but not until we break it down.
Thanks, Loudcasters. Yeah, well, game 1, Space Station one step closer towards clinching their opportunity to come to the Summer LAN. Totally, what went wrong?
Honestly, the game should have been ended earlier if it wasn't for the Fire Giant steal. What really went south was the chase down potential, where Splyce overcommitted towards the solo lane, and then the rest of Space Station Gaming chased Splyce all the way down towards their own tier 2 solo tower. Aror got hit by the Raijin Percussive Storm combination. Divios jumped in at the same time that happened, and no one else was going to save out Divios because Aror was already dead. So with those 2 quick picks, another Fire Giant in the books, and then the deicide about 10 minutes later because of all the damage Baskin was bringing to the table.
He was.
Sitting at 12, 2, and 13, this Raijin was a serious problem. Think back to the 9-minute mark or so when the Best got soloed because of the Raijin damage.
And you mentioned the Raijin for Baskin. BaRRaCCuDDa also only died once there. He's been claimed as MVP by the viewers in chat on that Chernobog performance. Pretty solid game from both the 2 carries of Space Station Gaming there. The rest of the team obviously died a couple of times, but when your carries don't die, totally, it's a good day.
A nice little hot triple kill for BaRRaCCuDDa towards the end of the game, being able to kite so well, going inside with his ultimate, coming back out with the dash through the wall. And this is what makes Chernobog just so popular, his ability to absorb a lot of abilities. BaRRaCCuDDa actually jumped into the wall as Divios was jumping onto him.
Yeah, he's one of those gods that obviously he has the ability to box well because of the extra passive that he gets of exploding damage around him, so grouped up targets really struggle there. But not only that, his survivability, the wall dash, and of course the ultimate gets him out of combat now and again. It's one of the reasons we've seen Chernobog rise. What does Splyce need to do different in Game 2?
They just need to have more vision around the Fire Giant. I think the fact that they punished Spacestation Gaming from doing the Gold Fear that one time, but then gave up a Fire Giant. This was after the Fire Giant steal initially, was where it became really problematic. That Fire Giant, it was only done by 2 Spacestation Gaming members because I believe it was on the left-hand side. There was a pick onto JeffHindla's Terra. Aror was on the left side, and without Aror being there to steal the Fire Giant for the second time, there wasn't much Splyce can do.